Yeah, long gone are the days when working at the BBC was a job for life. This one made me laugh a bit. Hi, it's me again, and yeah, this one did make me laugh a bit because I'm sure you've heard about it by now. They're changing BBC News a lot. They're really skinnying it down. And it's only going to be broadcast from the UK up until 5 p.m, I think it is, at which time it's then going to be broadcast from Washington, and after that it's going to be broadcast from Singapore, I believe. It's going to be a world news service, very akin to CNN. Rather than the British Broadcasting Network broadcasting British news for British people, it wants to be a world news service, and it's going to show ads, just not in the UK, so it's going to have ad breaks and stuff in it. But because of all these changes, they've got to lose a lot of staff. They're a bit overstaffed for news, especially with presenters. And that was why this headline, it made me chuckle a little bit, because it ain't a job for life at the Beeb anymore. BBC News presenters face screen tests to keep job in channel merger. I bet they all thought they were safe as houses being a well-respected BBC News presenter. You never get rid of me. The nation loves me. I'm presenting the news as a job for life on the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, quite senior news presenters have got to do screen tests. If you've got to do a screen test, why not do it for another channel and try and get more money and better terms and a safer job? If you've got to do it anyway, senior BBC presenters must prove their skills in a screen test as star names battle to save their jobs following a cull of frontline rows. Now, I'm not an expert in rolling news. I've had it on in the office in the past, and I've sat in the pub when it's on. And one thing I have noticed is that the presenters normally work for a good couple of hours. There's a 2 or 3 hour slot, maybe more in some instances, right? So why do they need to do, the ones that have been working for the BBC for donkey's years, why do they need to do a 40-minute screen test when they've been doing it for years for a couple of hours at a time? Can't they just rewatch the footage and talk to the studio people that worked with them and talking in the ear and all that to make sure they can do the job? And if they couldn't do the job, why were they doing the job in the first place? I don't understand why they need a 40-minute screen test when they've been presenting news anyway. And that's screen test enough, put it on your CV. Those thought to be affected are set to include Joanna Gosling, a BBC News presenter for 23 years, who has fronted the 1 p.m. BBC One News Bulletin and a number of news specials. So she seems perfectly well qualified to me. I can't say I know her off the top of my head. I might know her if I see her. But she's been doing the gig for 23 years with the BBC, and she's even been trusted to do the 1 p.m. BBC One News Bulletins. And she still has to do a screen test. They can't decide there and then if they want to or not. So are they going to do something completely different with this new news channel where they've got to tell jokes, or the whole thing's going to be set up differently, so they need to make sure they can do it? It just seems odd. It's the BBC all over, isn't it? It seems odd and wasteful. They're really cutting back. It says here, look, fewer anchors will be needed with a visualisation of Nikki Campbell's BBC Radio 5 live programme broadcast on the news channel and BBC Two weekday mornings under the cost-cutting measures. Yeah, so they're not going to have like proper people in the studio doing the news. They're just going to put a webcam in Nikki Campbell's radio studio, and that's going to burn off a couple of hours, isn't it? And then they're going to bugger off to Washington. That'll burn off the early evening. Then they're going to bugger off to Singapore, and that'll burn off the night. The British Broadcasting Corporation is not that interested in bringing the British people rolling news anymore. So, what was it you paid your licence fee for again? Remind me. So I just thought that was interesting that they're making people who have been at the bit, like I said, they're 30 years and 23 years. They know what they can do. They employed them in the first place, and they've got them on the news channels. Why? It's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird one. Let me know what you think about it all down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because that way, hopefully, I'll see you in another video again soon, won't I? Ta-da!